advance my slides. There we go. So we're talking to a bunch of heart-based, passion-driven entrepreneurs. Here's the thing. The business owner with the heart of a salesperson will always make more money than the business owner with the heart of a creative unless you learn to turn your business into a profit-making machine. I once sat down with a business owner. She was amazing. She had an amazing product. She was super friendly. She was really, really good at what she did. But she sat in front of me and she said, I just don't want people to think that I'm selling them something. And I said to her, but the truth is that you are selling something. You're also solving a problem. You're also serving people, but you have to, you have to be making money. You have to be exchanging money for goods and services because that's the definition of business. So there does have to be that transactional part of your business. And it was something that she just could not embrace. So that was something that I wanted to address today. So there are 3 profit principles we're going to go over today that will help you reconnect, adjust, and stay on track. Because here's the thing, as business owners, we are focused on bright, shiny objects, learning new skills, what's the newest platform, where can I do my advertising, DIYing it. Like we are all kinds of duct tape and bubble gum. We DIY everything, and we're so focused on everything else in our business that we forget, I will say, the number 2 asset in your business, since our nurse pointed out we are our number 1 asset, but the number 2 asset in our business is the ace in our pocket, and that is our current customers, the people who love us, who are passionate about what we do, the people who refer us to their friends. So profit principle number 1 is revive your tribe. This is the thing. There are people out there who really want to support you, who love what you do. They're your raving fans, your cheerleaders, and they really want to support you no matter what, even when it's not COVID, but now they really also want to help you. Because here's the thing, they're not sitting up at night, losing sleep, trying to figure out how they can help their favorite small business owner. But you know what? You are. You're the one who's trying to fix things, change things, pivot, make these adjustments. So what I want you to know is that you need to communicate with these people. You need to let them know what it is they can do. And there are people out there that care. They absolutely care. This picture is for the local bars here. I recently moved from the Raleigh area to Emerald Isle. And as you know, the bars and well, not restaurants, but bars that were just specifically bars that didn't serve food were closed for more than 6 months. They just were allowed to open. And this community was so concerned about these small businesses, these bartenders and waitresses and waiters and people that were working in the bar industry that had no income whatsoever for over 6 months, that they formed fundraisers here. And there was a fundraiser that they had. It was a barbecue fundraiser. It was lunch. They started at 11 o'clock. It was supposed to go till 2 in the afternoon. And I arrived at this fundraiser at 12:05, 1 hour and 5 minutes after it started. And they were completely sold out. There were so many people in this community that wanted to help these leaders who care for that, or they give back to the community. They have jobs, they're job producing industries. And it was anything that we could do to try to support our local businesses. The thing is, we have to know what it is that you want, because we don't know how to help you. Your raving fans don't know what they can do. So it's your job as a business owner to say, hey, during this time, this is how you can help me. Now we're getting to the point now that almost everything is opening back up, but that doesn't mean that things have gone back to normal. So you still need to communicate with them about how they can help you, how you're doing business now, and what it is that you're doing so that they can support you, because they truly, truly do care. So since I only have a few minutes, I did want to give you a gift, because this is something that we could really dive deep into, reviving your tribe. But I wanted to give you this gift today. It's called the Endless Referral Roadmap. And it's going to tell you exactly how to get dream referrals that will make you money and keep you going. It's going to help you know how and when to ask for referrals. It's going to give you step-by-step tools and a template so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel, and neither do your clients. All you have to do is go to SharonGaluzzo.com/gift, and there's 2 L's and 2 Z's in Galuzzo. And it does take a few minutes to come through. And if you don't find it, we discovered at another meeting that sometimes they're going into your filters. So check your spam and your promotions filter. It might be going there. But just go to SharonGaluzzo.com/gift, and that is my free gift to you today so that you can help revive your tribe. Profit principle number 2 is revise your rates. I knew a very, very successful business owner. He had a tremendous business. It was 6 figures and plus, and he was always busy. He was doing so much amazing stuff. And from the outside, it looked like he was really, really successful. And then to everyone's shock, he suddenly closed his business. And the reason that he closed his business was that even though he was bringing in a lot of money, his expenses were beyond the amount of money he was bringing in, so he didn't make any profit. He was losing money every month, and he had to eventually close his business. Because the definition of profit is a financial gain, especially the difference between the amount earned and the amount spent in buying, operating, or producing something. So we all know this, but I like to define my terms so that we know what we're talking about. So here's the thing. This might be the time that you need to look at your rates and decide that you need to increase them. Now, I am not suggesting for one single second that anyone do price gouging. That's not what I'm talking about. But the reality is that your expenses very well may require that you increase your rates. Your supply chain may have been interrupted or lengthened or shortened, and you cannot get the things that you need, or they're more expensive. It might be more expensive to run your business than it was before this whole thing happened. So it's really important to look at what your numbers are. You have to look at what you're taking in and what you're spending. The second reality is that you may have been undercharging before this whole thing happened. When people start their businesses, it's very common for them to set a price and just keep it there. Before I was doing the business coaching and training, my husband and I had a franchise business, and we had set our prices, and we pretty much kept our prices the same for almost 11 years. There were a few prices that went up, but by and large, we kept our prices the same. And when you're in a situation where, you know, they probably should have been going up a little bit every year or every 2 years or every 3 years, but we kept our prices the same. So it's really important to look at whether or not your prices might need to be adjusted. And the other reality is that people are buying and they are supporting businesses, especially small businesses. So the reason that this is important is that we had our website for our video business, where we got almost all of our leads, had gone down. This was way before COVID, had gone down for almost an entire month. And so we spent the entire month on pins and needles, just knowing that it was going to be a terrible situation whenever, you know, at the end of the month. But when we got to the end of the month and we sat down and we looked at our numbers, what we realized was because we had a very strong referral system and our customers were there supporting us, that not only did we not lose money, but we made money. So this is something that you really need to look at in your business. So the other thing is that fear of this whole situation of what now it's shifted again. First, everything was closed. Now things opened up a little bit. Now we're sort of in limited availability of space and time. All these things cause fear in business owners. And when we're afraid, we get overwhelmed, and when we get overwhelmed, we don't do anything. So it's very important to address the things that we're concerned about and recognize that there are things that we're concerned about, and that the base thing going on there might be some fear. This is something that I help clients with. I know Kahlua helps with this. This is, you know, we really need to be honest about it and address the fact that these things are happening. Business is all about solving people's problems at a profit. Just wanted to verify that I'm not the only one who thinks this way, that we really do need to be making a profit. We don't necessarily have to be making 8 figures, but we do need to be making a profit so that we can pay ourselves, pay our expenses, do the things that we want to do with our business. The other thing that you might need to do in your business is cut expenses, because there's 2 sides to profit, right? There's the how much you're taking in and how much you're spending. So what areas are no longer serving you in your business that you can cut those expenses? But I want to be very clear. When you do this, this is not a knee-jerk reaction. What you need to do is be able to look at what's going on in your business, what's not serving you now, but you might need to add back in later, and be really strategic about where you're cutting your expenses, how you're cutting your expenses, and what's that going to mean for the long term of your business. You need to have a very, very critical eye and look at, what you might not need now. And someone pointed out the other day that small business owners really do work on a very tight margin. We're very good at controlling expenses, but there may still be areas where you need to look at, because this is such an unusual time. So I wanted to tell you about one of my clients. His name is Pete, and he called me up a few weeks ago, probably a month ago now, a month and a half, and he was telling me about his business right now. And the first thing he said is that my sales are down. Across the board, all of my sales are down. But then he said, but my expenses are down even more. So my actual profit, the amount that I'm making, is higher than when my sales were higher, because the difference between, it's that difference between, it doesn't mean you have to go crazy with your sales. It's just that difference between what you're bringing in and what you're sending out. So your profit can increase even when your sales go down. And we need to be cognizant of that. And if we can get control of both sides of the equation, then we can control how much money we can make. So here are your considerations if you're going to cut expenses. Number one, where to cut so that it doesn't undermine your business in the long run. I know back when in 2008 with the recession, everybody was cutting advertising. Advertising is too expensive, we're cutting advertising. And what they did was sort of cut themselves off at the knees, because they didn't have that funnel being filled up, because they had cut off the source of where all of their business was coming from. So you need to make sure that you're just because it's the most expensive thing that you're spending money on doesn't necessarily mean that's the thing that you need to cut. So you've got to be really strategic about that. And like I said, planning and no knee-jerk reactions. So if you're going to raise prices, number one, no price gouging, be ethical. I'm not for 1 second suggesting that you should be price gouging. But there could be something going on in your business that you need to be adjusting. You need to know people are buying. Your tribe wants to support you. There's a lot of fear out there that people can't afford, people don't want to spend, they are buying, and you just need to know that. And you can increase your rates on some or all of your offerings. That doesn't necessarily mean you're going to double your rates. Maybe you look at your overall pricing structure and you want to increase everything 2% or 3%. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to double your prices. You just need to look at where it is. If you bring all of your prices up 2%, maybe that will cover the difference between the increased expenditures. So profit principle number 3 is revisit your rut. Business as usual is a fairy tale. It is a myth. And the truth is, we may never, ever, ever get back to business as usual in this country, because of all of the changes that have come, because of all the realizations that people have, like, doing Zoom calls, and people can work from home, so they don't necessarily have to be in offices. There's all kinds of changes. If you are a speaker, if your job is to get out and get in front of groups of people and do training and speaking, that may not be in person again for another year or 18 months. There are a lot of changes, And we just need to recognize that. So I want to share a little story with you. On the left is the equipment for an eye doctor. I want to tell you about an experience that I had with my eye doctor. My eye doctor is, he's amazing. He is just, I moved down here from New York and he diagnosed things in my eyes that I didn't even know were a problem for me. And he's been really good about adjusting my prescription so that I'm not in Coke bottle glasses after 20 years. And he's, you know, he just great bedside manner. Love, love, love my eye doctor. He's a visionary eye doctor. And so I had an appointment with him for my annual appointment in April. And of course, my appointment was canceled. And I am a contact lens wearer. And so I was running out of contact lenses. So I contacted the office. And the first person I talked to told me, well, your prescription is expired. And I said, well, I understand that my prescription's expired, but my appointment's been canceled and I couldn't get in there to get my prescription redone. And she goes, well, I'm going to have someone call you. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. So then they didn't call that day. The next day they didn't call. So I called back and I talked to the technician, and the technician is like, oh, well, your prescription's expired. I understand that my prescription is expired, but I need the contact lenses. I'm almost out, and I actually only have a few left. Can you get them to me? And so she finally said, yes, we can do it as a courtesy. And I said, okay. And so then she told me that it was going to be over a week before I could get my lenses. And I said, well, you know, I was kind of thinking out loud, you know, how, I don't know if you're that kind of person, but I think out loud. Sometimes I say what I'm thinking. And I was like, well, if I went to 1-800-CONTACTS, they would have to verify the prescription. It would take longer than a week. So, and she interrupts me and she says, ma'am, this is a courtesy. Your prescription is expired. And that was it. They told me my prescription was expired. Enough. And so I said, I understand that, and that's kind of irrelevant, but you know, this is what I need to do. And so I understand that during this time, the offices are shut down and things were really bad at that point. So I'm not 100% bagging on their customer service. But what I want to point out to you is during that time, how amazing would it have been if that office staff, instead of telling me that my prescription was expired multiple times, telling me my prescription was expired multiple times, had looked at their patient roster and said, well, how many people wear contact lenses that had appointments that have been canceled? You know, maybe we should call them and see if there's anything that we can do. Can we send them a box of contact lenses? What can we do to help them through this time? They did not have, they were doing business as usual. It was just another day for them. And they, there's like a PS to this story. There's a second part that was also terrible customer service. Long story short on that, I have a new eye doctor. But it was all because they did not adjust for the times and they were trying to do business as usual. That's what they wanted to do. On the right-hand side, there's a picture of a veterinarian. That's not my veterinarian. But as I said, we just recently moved to Emerald Isle. We're at the beach now. And I almost cried earlier when you were doing your introductions with the woman who was talking about end of life for your pets, because we recently had to put my senior dog down. But before we did that, we had to take him to the vet. I don't know if you realize, but during these times of COVID, you are not allowed to go into the vet's office with your animal. They come out, they take your animal, they go inside, and you are not connected to them in any physical way. For me, that was a really hard thing because I'm very much a face-to-face kind of person. I want to at least see you. And so that was very nerve-wracking to take him in. And I had a lot of questions because his health was beginning to deteriorate. So I had a whole lot of stuff going on. And so they came out, they were very nice at the car. They went in and the vet called me. And I have got to tell you that I felt as if I was standing in the room with this woman. She was so good at connecting with me, of describing what was happening with my dog. Like she's like, oh, he's sitting down, or he's doing this. Like she made it as if I felt like I was in the room with her. And not only her, but her entire staff. The receptionist, when you called, they're very good. They take care of everything. And when we called to make our appointment to take our dog in for his final visit, when I told the gentleman who answered the phone why I was calling, his demeanor immediately changed. His voice dropped. Everything stopped for him. He was very, very caring and slow. And, it wasn't like this is just another appointment. He made sure we had all of the information. They have taken this crazy situation when you cannot even go into their office and created an environment for you that even though you cannot be with them, you feel seen, you feel heard, you feel like you're there with your pet. And that's what you do to revise your rut. How can you do business, the same business, but adjust it for these crazy times, and how you can serve your clients? So I'm going to skip this slide. If we have time during Q&A, I'll explain it. But to successfully revisit your rut, you need to be in tune with one or more of the long-term trends of the pandemic. Of course, they are remote work, shorter supply chains, social distancing, customer consciousness, technology, how many people are now making and carrying masks, any of those trends of the pandemic. Number two, it should be a lateral extension of what you do now. So if you are in a restaurant business, you would not necessarily begin to carry skincare, because that's going to cause a little bit of confusion with your customers. Are you food or are you skincare? And third is a sustainable path to making a profit. And with a sustainable path to making a profit, you don't want to cannibalize your business. You don't want to change things so that your customers are confused. You want to preserve your brand. Now, what if that restaurant was a honey-infused restaurant and everything in their restaurant had honey in the dishes, and that was their theme, and then they began carrying a skincare line that was honey-based? Well, now that's just an extension of the brand, even though it's a different kind of product. So the key is to keep the DNA of the business intact so that when we come back out of this incredible, unique situation, we have all the building blocks we started with before to spring right back into business. And that is a quote from Kevin O'Leary. So here's the thing. If you don't learn to adjust your standard operating procedures, it can mean the difference between surviving the lockdown and locking down your business. So the two key takeaways for today is deep dives and reality checks. Dig deep into your business. Figure out what you need to do to adjust things so that you are making a profit. And reality check, and that is a duck's butt, so good reality check there. Be honest with yourself. Don't lie to yourself. Be honest and really get to the root of what you need to do. So I'm Sharon Galuzzo. I'm a client whisperer. I help small business and franchise owners who started their business to make more money and be their own boss, but now they are just working endless hours. They're stressing out their families, and to top it off, they can't stand their new boss. So when my clients work with me, they gain back control of their time, increased revenue, and the ability to promote their boss to CEO. As I mentioned before, my background is, I come from a lot of things, but my most recent business was for almost 11 years. My husband and I owned home video studio in Apex. We were extraordinarily successful, multiple six-figure business. We had all kinds of awards, and we made lots of profit. And when we sold our business, we sold it for a profit. I'm also the author of Legendary Business from Rats to Riches. It's an Amazon best-selling book, and I'm going to give away one today, I think. Is that what we decided, Lewis? We can do that. And I also do speaking training. I do one-on-one coaching, and I help small business owners. So just to recap, profit principle number 1 is revive your tribe. Profit principle number 2 is revise your rates. And profit principle number 3 is revisit your rut. So I just want to thank you so much for having me today. Whoops. If anything I said triggered you or gave you an aha, because you know that the instability in your business is causing instability in the rest of your life because you thought you were setting yourself free, but you built yourself a little business prison. And you're plagued by the constant knowledge that you know your business could make more money and you could be more successful if you could just figure out what's missing. And I know many of you here today are ready to put this behind you once and for all so you can experience consistent revenue, balance, and freedom. Today, I gave you the endless referral roadmap, and you've discovered your business's most valuable asset or second most valuable. And you've seen new ways to look at how business should be done in the pandemic, but there's still a problem. These things alone are not going to get you the continuity that you need to get you off the sales roller coaster and the ability to have really long-term success in your business. So, and the need to take time for your family and have actually that business life balance that you really want. So I want to give you a 30-minute, make more money in 30 days or less breakthrough call with me. And at the end of the session, you're going to walk away with at least one strategy that will enable you to make money in the next 30 days. And you're going to know the tools that you need to make your business more profitable and that to develop that business that treats you like the CEO that you are. Now, I wish I could give everybody this free session with me, but it's a $250 value and I only have so much time. So I'm going to offer it for the first 5 people that go to meetwithsharon.com. If there's a problem with meetwithsharon.com, you can go to sharongaluzzo.com/schedule. That will take you to the same place. But it was my gift to you for the first 5 people that are ready to bust open the doors and really look at your business and take it to the place that you want to be. So do we have time for Q&A?
Yeah, we have a few minutes left. And then, of course, I always leave the meeting open, so if people want to, stay on after and ask questions.
Well, I have to say I had the half-an-hour session with Sharon, and that's obviously kind of how my lash program came in, but that's also how my quotes and pictures came in, because Sharon gave me some ideas and she knows I went and worked on it like that afternoon. But she did give a lot of good tips. That's why, like I said, I added the lash business as an extension of my photography business. It just kind of made sense to add that. So, I mean, hopefully one of you get the 5, because it was definitely worth even the half an hour learning.
Thanks, Tammy.
I wanted to mention about, you were talking about the fear and people are afraid people aren't buying right now. But, one of the things is people always spend their money. I think probably, getting locked down, there was this appreciation of, wow, I spend a lot of money on just like eating out or running around or, so now they might be just spending it in different ways. So yeah, that was a great point about that, don't be fearful of that.
I also like the point about looking at the expenses. So if you're bringing in less, you can still not be suffering from a profit standpoint if you just adjust your expenses. So I think that's an important point too, that sometimes we forget. We're just like, we're not bringing in as much as we were. What do I do to help that? But like looking at the other side of it, I thought that was a good point.
Thank you.
I love the tip about revising your pricing. I was guilty of having pricing for 4 or 5 years and not going back. So now my new contracts make sure after 1 year we revisit it, make sure the amount of work that we're doing is still justifying the price that we originally had. So thank you for that awesome tip.
You're welcome.
There's so many takeaways to repeat what everybody else said. And so revive your tribe. That's a good one. Because with massage, so many people have lost their jobs. So I lost a lot of clients and now they're starting to work again. And also those tribe are referring me to other people. So that's been fabulous. And also, I think reviving your tribe, I'm like redoing my Google my business and getting more people on there and asking people for referrals and testimonials. That's been a really big thing for me, is asking for people for testimonial.
Yeah, you have to tell them what you need because they want to help. And I think I forgot to say this. The reality is that if you don't tell them what you need, they'll go to somebody else who does. They want to help you. They love you. They care about you. They want to support you in any way that they can. And even if that's writing a testimonial, they're so willing to do it. But make
I
it
like
easy
also,
for 'em.
oh, excuse
I
me.
was just saying, make it easy for them. Give them the link.
Yeah, that's what I've been doing, giving the link. I also wanted to point out what you said about having multiple businesses, because we do extensions of what we do. I feel like what I do with my CBD business, because we have things for people and pets. And Susan also put in the chat that that CBD was helping her. So that's an extension of her experience. And I know multiple people here have multiple businesses. And I think having your help with branding would be really helpful, because sometimes it's hard to kind of make it coherent and not be like too scattered, like, what are you doing now? But trying to give that message of why is this relevant to us, and why it's, an extension of what we're doing. So I think your training or your coaching could be really helpful with that.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
and I want to say, I actually heard this presentation when she did it in Apex, and I heard it again today, and I have more takeaways. So I just want to challenge everybody, when I put this replay up, to watch it again, because there's just very content rich here and sets off a lot of sparks. And you think, oh, I didn't think about that last time. And I'm hoping that you guys have a similar experience and enjoy the benefits of being a member of this networking activity with stuff like that.
I can tell you, as a professional voiceover, one of the hardest words to say is specificity, especially if it comes in the middle of a sentence. It's you can kind of see it in the script thinking, oh, here it comes. But it's actually easier to be specific than it is to say specificity. And I think we get very scared of really niching down and saying what we actually want, because we think that people won't necessarily be able to help us. But the degrees of separation used to be 6. We used to say 6 degrees of separation, or 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. And I was speaking about that the other day in a meeting. And apparently the latest is we are 3.47 degrees of separation apart now. Obviously, perhaps the situation this year has made, we climb on board international meetings, we get to know one another. So it's really important to be very specific about what you want. And you would be surprised at how many people say, I know somebody that can help you, or I'm going to make a call or reach out to somebody. So we never know who knows who, and we never know who knows what.
Yeah, and you know what? Jenny being here is an exact example of what she's talking about, because she and I met in a networking group. She lives in Norway. She's on the other side of the planet right now, and she's hanging with us. How cool is that? And when we were having a conversation, we basically took turns saying, me too. She'd say something about herself, and I'd say, oh, me too. Then I'd say something about myself, and then we had so many things in common. It was remarkable. So I think she's spot on with, we all kind of live in our own bubbles, and we think we're the one and only, when the fact is we have so many things in common with one another. And our reach is everybody who knows everybody in this group. So that is a huge reach if we take advantage of that.
Yeah, exactly.
So Kalua, I do have a book to give away. I don't know how you want to do that. If you want to, I was going to give away a copy of my Amazon bestselling book, Legendary Business from Rats to Riches, and the workbook that goes with it. And I will mail it out to whomever wins, but I'm not sure the best way to do that.
Do you have that app that Wendy has, the spin
I
wheel?
was going to say the random generator one. I think Carlene used that too.
Does anybody have that app at the ready and the waiting? Maybe Nola, because she's like the techie genius of the group.
She's like, no.
Well, what good are you then?
What Kalua could do afterwards is take everyone's name and put it in the random generator. It just wouldn't be instant right this second. I don't know how fast someone can type the names in.
Or we could do numbers. I could pick a number, and whoever gets closest to it could.
There we go.
Okay. All right.
It's called
Old-fashioned, low-tech way.
Between 1 and 20, and Kalua, what's your number?
2.
Laura.
6.
Jenny.
See what Linda was saying? My number is 7. My lucky
Okay.
number is 7. What's with you?
Mine too,
Okay,
Linda.
I'm
Me too.
going to double it and go
Brianna?
with
Across the
14.
ocean.
I'm sorry, Brianna?
14.
16.
Okay. Allison?
10. Wait, is 10 still available?
Yes. Kelly?
18.
18. Okay. Carol?
17.
Okay. Debbie?
4.
Anna?
14.
Lori?
Okay, 6 and 10 were my numbers.
You can only pick one, Lori.
Has anybody taken 16? I didn't hear 16.
Yeah.
I think Carol had 16.
12.
No, I had 17.
Oh, you had 17. Okay, then you can have 16, Lori.
Okay,
Sorry.
16.
Okay. Mary? Or is it
12.
Mari? 12?
Mary,
Okay.
12.
Nola?
Nola, we can't hear you. It's not muted.
I didn't
Type
want
it
to
in the
pick
chat.
Oh, we love names that come.
She was very quiet before.
Have her put it in the chat.
You can hold up fingers.
Okay,
She said
put
8.
at 8.
8. Okay. Carlene?
20.
Georgia?
13.
Linda? 19. Carrie? Christy? Sorry.
3.
And Tammy?
What number's left? All my numbers taken. Oh my God. I don't know what numbers are left. I lost count.
Just pick one.
Okay.
Okay.
8 was taken. 8 Nola had. Hold on. People are putting it in the chat.
Do the
1,
one.
I think.
You got 1? I'll take 1 if 1's not taken.
Okay, so remarkably, nobody chose my number. Brianna and Lori were not one number away. I had 15. They were on one each side. So if you will just drop, you can drop it into the private chat, your mailing address so that I can mail it to you. I'll give both of you a copy.
Oh, that's
All right.
And Brianna, when you're done with it, I want to borrow it.
And I should have said 15 because I was thinking, I'm like, because
I
I'm
was
trying to look at the chat.
telepathically tell you. No, I'm just kidding.
I know you were. My wig's too tight.
Thank you so much, ladies, for having me today. This has been great.
Thank you.